Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're doing something really special. We're immersing ourselves in a fascinating historical and spiritual text, Psalm 107. People often call this the Unfailing Well, and honestly, it's easy to see why. We're going to unpack its timeless structure, its deep emotional resonance, and its beautiful, overarching message of mercy. If you enjoy content like this and want to see more, please make sure to follow and share. Now, let's step right into this powerful text.
The text kicks off with a massive, undeniable directive. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endures forever. Now, I want you to understand, this isn't just some polite suggestion or a gentle whisper, right? No way. This is a thunderous, divine imperative, echoing all the way through human history. It's a bold, unyielding call that literally sets the stage for everything we're about to look at today.
Okay, let's dive into this because the source immediately zeroes in on a very specific focus group, the redeemed. And who are they? Well, the text defines them as the people God has pulled directly from the hand of the enemy, people gathered from the east, the west, the north, and the south. The absolutely crucial point the author makes here is that God does not leave his people scattered. They're intentionally gathered together, and there's this clear expectation that they will actually speak up and declare what he has done for them. To really grasp the sheer magnitude of this mercy, the text actually takes a turn into a dark, stormy narrative. It outlines four distinct, vivid pictures of human need. First, we've got the wanderers, totally lost in a dry, empty wilderness. Then, the prisoners, bound up in complete darkness and heavy iron chains. Next are the afflicted, people who have drawn dangerously close to the very gates of death. And finally, the sailors, getting tossed around by stormy winds until their courage just completely melts away. It's a poetic but honestly pretty intense picture of total human desperation. And then we get this breathtaking contrast. Look at the two sides laid out here. On one side, you see the absolute rock-bottom depths of that desperation. We're talking rebellion, severe hunger, sickness, and people just staggering around at their wits' end with literally nowhere left to turn. But then look at the other side. We see this response of unstoppable, miraculous deliverance. The narrative talks about bronze gates being utterly shattered, physical healing being delivered through just a spoken word, and raging storms being instantly calmed. It's an incredibly dramatic shift. So how exactly is all that magnificent deliverance unlocked? Well, the text gives us the answer. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them out of their distresses. You're going to want to notice this specific repeating phrase. As you read through the source material, it acts like a rhythmic anchor. The writer is practically hammering home the point that when all our human resources completely fail, this simple, desperate cry is the exact key that unlocks God's unending mercy. What's truly fascinating is that this isn't just an isolated incident or a distant history lesson. It's actually a recurring, broad scriptural pattern. I mean, think about the historical accounts. You have Israel wandering around in the wilderness, hungry, right, until they were miraculously fed with manna. Think of Joseph, completely bound and forgotten in Egyptian prison. Or the disciples, suddenly facing a terrifying storm on the Sea of Galilee. Or even Peter, literally walking right out of a locked prison, guided by an angel. The big theme here is that when human plans totally fail, a cry for rescue is exactly what brings about miraculous action. And this brilliantly illustrates how that exact same pattern echoes throughout history, extending way beyond the ancient pages of Scripture. Look at this timeline. In the 1660s, you've got John Bunyan sitting in Bedford jail. Jump to the 1800s, and there's John Paton facing extreme, life-threatening danger in the New Hebrides. And in the 1940s, Corrie ten Boom enduring the unimaginable horrors of Ravensbrück. Historical records actually show believers across centuries living out these exact biblical scenarios, crying out from the absolute depths of profound trouble. Let's take a closer look at John Bunyan for a second. In the 1660s, he was thrown into this dark, incredibly restrictive jail simply because he refused to stop preaching. Totally bound by the laws of his day, he cried out to God. And according to his own accounts, it was in that desperate, dark place that he actually found the strength to write The Pilgrim's Progress. Think about that. A book that has since pointed countless millions of people toward the city of God, born right out of a prison cell. Then we have the profoundly moving story of Corrie ten Boom. She was in the deepest, darkest pits of a World War II concentration camp. Surrounded by severe hunger, freezing cold, and brutal iron control, she cried out. And her writings describe how God's mercy reached her right there, sustaining her with an undeniable, comforting presence.
There's even this incredible detail where she documented how a literal infestation of fleas in their barracks kept the cruel guards away, which actually allowed them to hold secret Bible studies. Even in the deepest darkness imaginable, the pattern of deliverance held absolutely true for her. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them. There is that anchor phrase again. It brilliantly serves to bridge the gap between ancient scripture, historical figures, and the modern-day miracles we are about to look at, because the core assertion of the source text here is that the cry remains exactly the same, and that incredible saving response, it remains exactly the same too. Now, the source lecarial actually extends this theme of deliverance right into the modern corporate world, which is fascinating. Take Mark Whitaker, for example. He was a high-level corporate executive who ended up in federal prison after a massive business scandal. Before going in, he felt like absolutely everything was completely lost. But in that federal prison cell, he gave his life to Christ. Fast forward to the 2020s, and he is serving as an executive at Coca-Cola Consolidated. His own words capture this transformation perfectly. "What I thought was the end of my life turned out to be the beginning." Wow. It's a profound realization that aligns directly with the text's big theme, the idea that utter despair can be entirely removed, broken marriages can be beautifully restored, and the ashes of a ruined career can actually be turned into something entirely new and purposed. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we see this play out during a global crisis. Take Josh Parker of Wingrove Motor Company. During the sudden, terrifying onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, as a small business owner, he felt completely helpless. So he prayed for help. And shortly after, an unexpected call came through that ultimately led his company to produce and supply 2 million items of PPE, protecting frontline healthcare workers. It's cited as this incredible modern example of how a helpless moment can be used by God to accomplish something massive. We see a really similar situation with Paul and Denise Bentley. They had to watch the work for their company, Atlantis Landscapes, just completely dry up. Facing the potential end of their livelihood, they surrendered their business to God, actively treating the Lord as the true head of their company. And the account details that almost immediately new work began to arrive, ultimately securing 6 months of solid contracts. By handing over control, their heavy burden was lifted, and all that crippling anxiety was replaced with lasting peace. Then they cry out to the Lord in their trouble, and he brings them out of their distresses. Notice the structural shift in the text right here. This marks the end of the descent into trouble. It marks the permanent arrival of deliverance. The storm is over. The rescue is here. The author frames this as a wonderfully warm, intimately personal promise that is meant to hold true for you, the reader, right now, today. This all builds into a breathtaking picture of God's wider rule described in the closing sections. As the text illustrates, on one hand, we see the absolute power to humble, turning flowing rivers into a harsh wilderness and fruitful land into barrenness. But simultaneously, we see the power to completely restore, taking a dry, cracked wilderness and turning it into pools of water, and dry land into water springs. The text heavily emphasizes God's power to completely reverse our human circumstances, lifting the poor high up and silencing all iniquity. So, what exactly are we supposed to do with all of this evidence? Well, the text gives us a very clear challenge for the wise. Step 1. Truly observe the pattern of the cry and the deliverance. Don't just glance at it. Step 2. Let this evidence naturally shape your heart until thanksgiving just becomes your default setting. And step 3. Speak of this goodness in your daily life. The whole argument here is that the wise observe, they understand, and they make sure to give credit exactly where it belongs. The core takeaway here is absolutely clear. He has delivered before, and he still delivers today. The text argues so beautifully that God's mercy does not wear out with the passing of years. It's never intimidated by the size or the scope or the messiness of the trouble. The fundamental claim is that when you cry out, you are still heard. Which brings us to how this source material directly challenges its audience. It poses this really provocative question, and I want to ask it to you directly. Whether you have wandered in a dry wilderness, or sat in heavy darkness, or maybe you've suffered under your own foolishness, or faced a terrifying storm, will you let the redeemed say so? The invitation within this text remains wide open, urging you to recognize your trouble and just cry out. Actually, the source material concludes with this beautifully powerful, reflective prayer. It acts as a heartfelt invocation for anyone reading who feels lost, or bound, or near death in spirit, or just completely tossed around by the troubles of this life. Instead of leaving the reader in distress, the text explicitly asks for divine deliverance on their behalf. Lord, for every single person taking in these words who is hurting right now,
Satisfy the longing soul. Bring brilliant light into the deepest darkness. Send your word to heal. Guide each and every one to a safe haven. We ask that you would speak profound peace to the raging wind and the turbulent sea of their lives, allowing them to finally rest in your unchanging goodness. As we wrap up this explainer, we're left with a lingering question proposed by the text. In a world absolutely full of modern storms and wildernesses, where do you direct your cry for help? Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this breakdown insightful and encouraging, please share this message of God's never-ending mercy with your family and friends. And don't forget to follow the channel for more focused learning. Until next time, keep observing, keep asking questions, and take care.